there's this very strange contradiction that exists within MAGA Republicans, that they both have this humiliation kink deep down, but are also such snowflakes. They get their feelings hurt so easily. And of course, the best example of that is the worst billionaire in America and the biggest billionaire baby, Elon Musk, who has clearly had his feelings hurt, that we don't like the fact that he's cut pediatric cancer research and attempted to destroy Social Security. So in his latest meltdown, he made a shocking announcement. He is giving up on Donald Trump, turning his back on MAGA, and it is an absolute nightmare for them. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, yes, I have to say it, I did graduate college today, and we are still doing videos because there's a lot of important news to get to. And before we get into that Elon statement, I want to start with the interview that got us to it, and it's this clip right here.
My question is more about your work at Doge, for example. Was that worth it? You know, to the extent you are now, Elon, you were a somewhat divisive figure 2 years ago, but now you really are. I mean, there are people who love you, but there are a lot of people who dislike you, some of whom were your customers. And I wonder, was it worth the undertaking at Doge and everything else that you've done and how outspoken you've been in terms of the things you believe in to antagonize so many potential buyers and or users of things like a robo-taxi?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, what I've learned is that legacy media propaganda is very effective at making people believe things that aren't true.
What would an example of that be?
That I'm a Nazi, for example. Right. And how many legacy media publications, talk shows, whatever, try to claim that I was a Nazi because of some random hand gesture at a rally where all I said was that my heart goes out to you, and I was talking about space travel.
So Elon clearly has his little baby feelings hurt. He's oh so sad that people don't like him anymore. Oh, you're a divisive figure. Oh, you throwing up a Sig Heil might have suggested that you may have some alliances with some certain unseemly figures. Your support for the AfD in Germany, their right-wing extremist party, maybe made us think that you weren't the greatest guy in the world, Elon. It's not difficult to put those puzzle pieces together, but it just shows how out of touch and so strange and how many yes men he must have around him when he talked about the reason he thinks that people in America and around the world really just hate Elon Musk so much.
Yeah, first of all, any program in USAID that had any semblance of merit was retained and folded into the State Department. So, and if there's some exception to that, we're all ears and we'd love to look at it. We just want to see the evidence that the program was actually doing good and not just funding graft in DC and warlords in some country. Because over and over again, we saw so sympathetic sounding programs. Right. But when we actually said, well, please show us pictures of the recipients of the aid, or let us get into contact with them. No pictures were forthcoming. They didn't give us any contact information. And we're like, look, we're not going to send money to DC grafters and warlords. That's not a good use of money. So that's not what we're going to do. Now, invariably, when you stop waste and fraud, it's not like the fraudsters admit their guilt. They don't say like, oh, isn't it so great that the money we were getting fraudulently has been stopped? They will obviously come up with a sympathetic sounding claim but that claim has no merit.
You weren't stopping waste, fraud, or abuse. You were defunding pediatric cancer research. Little packets of liquefied peanuts, little peanut butter packets for starving children. You were increasing deaths from malnutrition. You are an evil, evil figure in America, and that is how you will always be viewed. That, and as a big old little baby, oh, I'm so upset. People hate me because I'm an awful person. Well, maybe stop being so terrible. Maybe that's the solution, but I guess Elon doesn't think that, or maybe he kind of does because he's proposed his own, and it's dumping Donald Trump, and we can see that in this article right here. Scorned Elon turns off Republicans' cash gusher for midterms. Elon Musk says he has done enough to help MAGA Republicans win elections, signaling a shift in his kingmaker role as Donald Trump's top campaign backer. After months of watching his popularity plummet, the Doge slasher-in-chief says he plans to cut back on funding political campaigns, a move that could dampen the Republicans' efforts at next year's midterm elections and in the lead-up to the 2028 presidential election. I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to be doing a lot less in the future, Musk said, when asked at the Qatar Economic Forum on Tuesday if he would continue spending as much as he has in the past. This coincided with Musk facing a humiliating defeat in the Wisconsin State Supreme Court race when his preferred candidate, Brad Schimmel, lost by 10 points, despite Musk pouring a record $21 million into the contest and campaigning for Schimmel dressed in a cheese hat. Musk's work at the Department of Government Efficiency has also resulted in his stocks plummeting, with protests taking place across the country against Tesla over Doge's massive spending cuts to the federal public service. But his sudden influence in Washington raised scrutiny of his companies, some of which have contracts with the federal government. Trump and Musk have played down the reduced role that he now has at the White House, noting that his work with Doge was always due to wind down by the end of May. And Musk could also change his mind about splashing cash for candidates in the coming election, noting at the forum, "If I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it," he said. "I do not currently see a reason." So in the latest blow to Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans in Congress, not only are they universally hated, not only are their approval ratings going down every day, not only can they not pass their big, ugly hunk of junk bill, but now their cash machine said, "Nope, I'm done." And that's kind of been the theme of things for MAGA lately. And we see that with elections that they're losing because of Donald Trump all across the world. And Rachel Maddow broke that down right here.
While all his own people are in the streets week after week demanding that he go, what does Donald Trump Jr. care about this guy? Guess. Guess. So in the middle of the capital city of Serbia, there is a ruined building. Used to be the headquarters of what was then the Yugoslav army, is now the Serbian army. And in 1999, that army headquarters building was bombed by NATO. All but destroyed it, that bombing. That was 26 years ago. And that country has never repaired that building right in the center of their capital city. They have preserved that wrecked building as a memorial to what happened in the war in the Balkans, to what happened in the NATO bombing campaign against their country. That ruined building is preserved officially as a national heritage site, a protected monument in that country. And Donald Trump would like to tear that monument down and build a luxury hotel and apartment tower there, literally on that site. You know, there is a Trump Tower in Istanbul. Istanbul, famously, is right on the Bosphorus Strait. It's right on the border between Europe and Asia. But that is as close as the Trump family has ever gotten to having a Trump Tower in Europe. Their Serbia plan to have the first ever Trump Tower in Europe. Their Serbia plan is to tear down the most recognizable national heritage site monument in that entire country and turn it into Trump Tower Belgrade, you know, Trump Tower Serbia or something. It will be a joint operation between the Kushner family and the Trump family. Now, how can they do this, given that it's a national heritage site and protected under law? Well, that's one of those times where it comes in handy that there's no rule of law. Somehow the very Trumpy authoritarian president of that country, somehow he was able to come up with some kind of waiver, some kind of permission slip that said, actually, that site is no longer a protected national heritage site. The president said he got an opinion from a national heritage site expert, which said basically, who cares about that site anyway? Go ahead, tear it down. And they said that expert opinion gave them the legal basis they needed to approve this big project for Donald Trump. And with that expert opinion in hand, with that being the legal basis for getting rid of the National Heritage Site designation, I mean, jackpot, right? Jackpot for some. The Trump and Kushner families thereby get permission to bulldoze the Serbian equivalent of Mount Rushmore in order to build themselves on that site a $500 million luxury development. while the regular people of that country get to be killed by collapsing train stations. A few weeks ago, on the anniversary of the bombing campaign that destroyed that army headquarters in the first place, there was a whole new round of protests in Serbia, specifically against this deal, against that country's president trading away a site of national, cultural, and historical significance for a development deal that personally benefits Donald Trump and his family. But now, guess what has happened? Amid the relentless, just unrelenting, ever-increasing, ever-broadening, totally persistent, creative, totally unafraid pressure campaign from that country's citizens who have turned out into the streets again and again and again, this whole mess is all now falling apart. Headline: Trump-Kushner hotel project in Serbia hits snag. Alleged forgery. Forgery? What? Quote, the Trump family's $500 million luxury hotel project in Serbia, slated to be built on the site of a bombed-out defense ministry building, has run into an embarrassing complication. A key document the Serbian government has relied on to deliver this deal was forged, said officials this week. The leader of the Serbian agency charged with protecting cultural monuments admitted to authorities that he had forged a document allowing the former Yugoslav Ministry of Defense headquarters in Belgrade to be demolished and replaced with a Trump hotel. Officials said the agency's leader fabricated an expert opinion to justify the government's decision to strip the site of its cultural heritage status. The forged document served as the legal basis for lifting protection from the complex. The official has served as acting director of the Institute for the Protection of Cultural Monuments since June. He now faces criminal charges of abuse of office and forgery of official documents. Darn that rule of law! If it wasn't for the remaining rule of law and for those meddling kids. Oh. Now maybe there never will be a Trump Tower in Europe. Quote, Mr. Kushner's company said in a statement, quote, we will review this matter and determine next steps. Womp womp.
This is our moment to fight back. We really do have agency in this moment, and we can capitalize on it by using our voices, by speaking out. The rest of the world is responding. Why don't we as well? That's what we're going to be doing on this show every single day, even more so now that I have so much time. As a college graduate, I started this show while I was in college. I've been doing it out of my dorm for almost a year now, and the community that we have built is just so incredible and amazing, and it really means the world to me that you've been on a journey that's going to continue. I know there's been a lot of ups and downs, but we're going to keep fighting. It means so much to me. It really does. And if you want to become a part of that community, if this is the first time you're watching a video and I'm just graduated, that might be a little strange, but they're not always big occasions like this. But if you want to, you can hit that subscribe button. Of course, you can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.